I actually saw this pop up, and I did want to check it out. Hellboy, America's Berserk. This actually blew my mind when I saw this title, because as someone who loves Berserk so much, literally my favorite manga of all time, and someone that really knows very little about Hellboy, this just instantly hooked me. So let's jump right into it, baby. Let's see what we have today. Oh my god, he looks just like my testicle. This says, behold, the right hand of doom. All right.
During the period of time between the closing of
Period. Was that a woman reference? That's funny.
Monthly Animal House and Berserk's continuation within Young Animal in 1992, conceptualization on a character similar to the main character of Berserk started to take form. Although not a direct inspiration, these two characters would travel similar territory over the course of their runs, have actively fought against the machinations of fate, and suffered for it.
All right. Fighting fate, that's step one.
To kill monsters that threaten the world's safety, who kill what goes bump in the night with a single swing.
Yo, I go bump in the night.
The difference between their creators and their intentions may differ, but each has had a
Oh man, rip my guy. Oh, it still hurts me every time I think about Berserk.
profoundly similar effect on its readers. Not to mention their publication through the same North American publisher, both being key but important parts in that publisher staying afloat. To properly explain my
Dude, look at this art! Can you believe a human made this?
point about comparing these two series in such a way, I think I'd want to first walk you through their origin.
Yeah.
December 1944.
Oh?
The Scottish countryside. A platoon of soldiers led by First Sergeant George Whitman stood watch in an abandoned church by the shoreline. With intel from the British Paranormal Society, aka the BPS,
Oh, British people. I wonder if they stab each other. That would be hilarious.
about Hitler's alliance with the satanic Slavic wizard Rasputin,
Oh my god, what is this lore, huh?
the American soldiers kept watch until... crash! Out of a bolt from a cloudless sky, the platoon and BPS members bore witness to the arrival of... a key. A key to end all
What?
things, a seed of destruction that will bloom into the apocalypse.
Okay.
However,
Did you summon Satan?
the lead of the BPS's investigation, Dr. Trevor Brutenholm,
I don't know, BPS sounds like a sex thing. I'm not gonna lie.
makes a startling observation about their enemy. They're a child.
Butt poke sex. A child? Oh man, that's scary as hell.
As their enemies scatter
Bro, why does he have the Nazi Sharingan? My Mangekyo Sharingan has been awakened by killing thousands of Jews.
miles away from the coast, the platoon realizes that this thing they've encountered means no harm. For the sake of national security and studying the creature, the platoon decides to harbor the creature for the foreseeable future.
Sure, bro, yeah. When I summon demon hellspawn children out of the bottom of the pits of hell, opening the abyss, the ass crack of the world to pull this shit out, you know what I do? I raise it like it's my own.
A future cursed with,
British people.
regardless of anyone's actions, the demise of mankind
I hate the demise of mankind. Aw, man.
as we know it.
That sucks.
Almost a demon, almost a human
Oh, man, playing the Undertale soundtrack, we're getting real.
boy. Dr. Brutenholm christens the seemingly harmless monster as Hellboy.
Hellboy. No way. Not gonna lie, it's a good origin story. That's a good origin story. Summoned by Nazi Satanists? Bro, that's just like what happened in real life.
Buddy, I don't have another one.
Bro literally looks like my testicle. Should I get that checked?
I think Hellboy is beautiful and often understated in what it's achieved. Obviously, its legacy in movies and video games has cemented Hellboy, at least the Del Toro version, in pop culture canon. Hellboy has a history dating back to one of the most important periods of Western comics and lasted long into the digital age.
Okay, alright.
Whenever I see someone's a fan of Hellboy though, the comics are not really the focus of the conversation. What it is, it's often with a weak smile and arms raised and a shrug. I've never read the comics, are they good? And if they have read some of the comics, it's often followed by condemnation from its creator, Mike Mignola's association with his editor, Scott Alley.
What?
A man worthy of scorn, to be sure. I still believe, however, that this series, at least the core Hellboy books and the spin-offs necessary to understand its original ending, are worth exploring for modern comic readership.
Bro, I know nothing about the actual Hellboy lore.
Especially those looking for similar emotional depth and edge as Miura's dark fantasy Berserk.
Okay, emotional depth, fine. Edge, though? I mean, Berserk, I guess, is kind of edgy. But, dude, Berserk is so much more than just a story. Guts is just such an amazing character. And an antagonist like Griffith, like, just calling Hellboy America's Berserk, it better be a masterpiece.
So, this is my way of selling Hellboy to you. To that fan of edgy, life-changing, beautifully drawn manga that wants to challenge themselves to read left to...
Really? You're gonna compare the beautifully drawn manga? Until here, I was with you, but I have been looking at these manga panels, these comic panels, every single screenshot you've been showing.
To that fan of edgy, life-changing, beautifully drawn manga that wants to challenge themselves to read...
When you look up Berserk manga art on Google freaking Images, look at what you get. Look at this. This is just one random manga panel on one random page in Berserk. You cannot compare this to anything else in fiction.
Read left to right. This is why Hellboy is worth your time. With some light spoilers here and there.
Hit me, hit me, hit me with those spoilers, sir.
I think the most important factor to judging your enjoyment of Hellboy is your opinion on Mignola's artwork.
Okay.
Mike Mignola's career as an artist spans 4 decades, not only evolving in terms of art style, but also visual storytelling. The shading is the most distinctive part of Mignola's art style, other than...
Again, I don't think that art is what it takes to make a manga great. I just want that to be incredibly clear. I don't actually think that that's what it takes. I'm just saying, don't sell it on that.
His tendency to draw men with heavy shoulders, or slouched. He does fight scenes here and there for the sake of tension, and at times uses the medium of comics to great effect, but a lot of Hellboy's best moments are its most quiet and atmospheric. Its intimate conversations and sad little diatribes.
Okay.
And also the memes. Love them. Keep them coming. There are other artists that join Mignola's side for various stories, such as Richard Corbin, who has done a whole bunch of the main Hellboy issues.
Okay.
His style compared to Mignola's is vastly different in terms of detail and shading, but that change in style isn't bad when it's still Mignola writing the story. It's certainly not for everyone and very different from Miura's, but that level of detail and clear love for the craft shows.
Bro, don't even talk about level of detail in the art compared to Miura. Why would you do this?
Hellboy is a treat, in more than one way. I mean, have you seen Ron Perlman? Like, not just him as Hellboy, because I think you get that by now. Have you read Ron Perlman's filmography? Have you seen his performance in Drive?
That is one motherfucking fine-ass pussy-mobile motherfucker.
What?
No, he was fucking Slade.
He was Slade?
Yeah, dude, I fucking love Ron Perlman.
Bro, dude. Oh, wait, what? Huh? That's crazy. All right, so the art's fine. That's the moral here. Art is fine. Cool.
Hellboy is, well, a demon.
All right. I'm following.
Half, at least. He's the son of a great demon he doesn't know the name of, a human mother he never knew, and was raised by the Bureau of Paranormal Research and Defense.
Bro, man was about to grow up to become Homelander.
Formed in the wake of World War II by Professor Brutenholm, who all now...
Bro's name is Brutenholm? Jesus. Say you're British without saying you're British.
...refer to as Professor Broom. Its goal is to combat occult threats across the globe. Through the BPRD, and sometimes alcohol, Hellboy investigates reports of monsters of all kinds and strange, sometimes emotional tales. I'd like to call this early period his Black Swordsman arc, because some of the same elements are at play thematically.
Okay,
a status quo of their place in their world and their intended purpose in it. And while we don't have a God Hand or Griffith, we...
That's where the best hentai comes from.
...do have an ancient prophecy in Rasputin the Immortal Wizard. For you see, Hellboy's existence is part of a bigger plan, the big hook to Hellboy's journey. He's told that he's destined to help bring about the end of the world. Something that Hellboy really doesn't want to hear.
Nah, that sucks, man. That's tough, homie.
And something he'll learn very quickly isn't something he can deny.
Oh shit.
Early stories, Hellboy is joined by a growing cavalcade of allies from the BPRD's growing Special Talents Task Force.
Special Talents Task Force. They just gathered 5 people with autism and they're like, go, get him.
Such as the intelligent fishman Abe Sapien,
the fishman,
pyrokinetic obvious love interest Liz Sherman, and eventually in his own personal journey, Roger the Homunculus. I know there's Daimyo, I know there's more to the BPRD and their solo series, but I want to focus on the main Hellboy
Plague of Frogs. Is that a Bible reference?
Book in this video, and maybe do that in another one. You do not need to do that much homework in order to read this, I promise you.
Okay.
The world of
okay.
Hellboy calls heavily on myths and legends from all kinds of mythologies.
All right, sure.
But over time, Hellboy becomes embroiled in the machinations of various groups and deities that all vie for their own goals. All while Hellboy is forced to process personal discoveries about his past and his place on Earth and the present. It's a part of Hellboy I don't think is necessarily unique in comics given its basic...
I'll be honest, that's a pretty basic premise. Like, Berserk isn't a basic premise. I think what makes Berserk Berserk is that you feel the trauma that Guts went through to get him to where he is right now. Like, it's not just about some impending doom that he's facing, because yes, he is fighting against his fate, just like Hellboy is. Struggling against fate does not make Berserk what it is. First, you needed to know who Guts is. You needed to understand the dynamic between Guts and Griffith, and I feel like that's not in Hellboy, at least not based on his description of it.
concept. However, its execution makes the biggest difference.
My God, look at that dude's face.
Every part of Hellboy's journey does build upon itself, building a tapestry with a world bigger than him going on in the background. Forever doomed to conflict from denying his true purpose, the prophecy will go on with or without his approval.
Homie, in these parts, we like consent. I'm sorry.
To spoil much more than at the end of an arc featuring the ghost of a superhero from the 40s, a Nazi brain in a jar, and
Sure.
the Conqueror Worm.
Sure, why not?
Hellboy leaves the BPRD.
Oh.
It changes the trajectory of Hellboy's journey, and the quality of stories that Mignola ends up doing is just the embodiment of a chef's kiss.
Oh?
Hellboy, in very small but discernible ways, reminds me of Guts and his journey.
Okay, how? Please say how. Don't just throw in Berserk references and think we're just gonna eat this, bro. Don't be like, this is a comic just like Berserk. It even has art just like Berserk. I want to know the sauce. I want to get deep into the bussy of it.
Sure, his circumstances are completely different, but that same stoic, sad Chad energy I get from them is undeniable.
Bro, sad, stoic Chad energy is not what makes Berserk. Like, I'm not saying Hellboy is a bad series, but I want to know what is it to do with Berserk? Oh, well, sad, stoic Chad energy, though. Like, so, I mean, it's basically the same shit.
This idea of a person growing up in a place that provided him no other option but to learn to fight, to work for...
Except for Hellboy, it was instead of killing a demon, it was like a good thing. Like, you're welcome, Hellboy. We're not killing you. You're gonna work for us, and we're not gonna, execute you for just being a demon. For Guts, it was his mother was killed, and he was born from his mother's corpse. And he was raised by people that abused him. Like, you cannot compare the love that Hellboy seemed to receive in comparison to the torment and torture that shaped Guts' life.
for a greater cause and become disillusioned in it with age. They're both introspective about their circumstances, claiming to do things their own way or live life how they want to live it. Their worlds are...
But that's really not what Guts was at that point. Guts was so happy to be controlled. That was his major character flaw at that point of the story. It's the fact that he wasn't willing to even realize or admit to himself that Griffith was controlling him. He considered them equals when Griffith considered Guts a tool. And he wasn't able to admit that because of the circumstances of his birth. Not like he likes to be dominated. No, stop it! He doesn't. No! Yeah, but before we continue, right now, I do love the stoic Chad energy. It's awesome and hot and all that stuff, but that's not what makes Berserk Berserk. Guts is cool. Not just because he struggles against fate. Not just because he's never giving up, he's unwielding, and he's badass. He's cool because he's so human. I think that's the key point of Guts' character, that no matter what you do, and no matter how many incredibly larger-than-life Eldritchian horrors he has to face through his journey, no matter if fate itself is pit against Guts, Guts will fight back with every ounce of his power, and he is just a mere human. That is forever going to be the core of the Guts arc. The core of the Berserk series is it humanizes Guts to such an incredible degree. And despite him being human, a weak, fragile, feeble human who has gone through all forms of trauma imaginable, despite all of that, he will still keep picking himself back up. I think that it's that indomitable human spirit side of Guts, even to his very armor, his Berserk armor, which holds his limbs together while they're getting broken, just bringing out the maximum potential he has. He never once gets a superpower or a magic ability. He is human, and he will use every ounce of his humanity and technology and all that stuff to continue fighting and continue struggling. It's because he's so human. It's because he makes mistakes. And because he keeps picking himself back up, because he is not stronger than the demons he's facing, that's why we love his journey.
Unlike Berserk, Hellboy has a somewhat inconsistent chronology if you haven't done the tiniest bit of homework. Luckily, people have made lists in the past as to what's essential for fully understanding the world and general journey of...
I love authors that release their stories in not chronological order. It's my favorite thing. Like, damn, thank you, Monogatari, for existing. Bro, if you make a series and people have to figure out timelines and how to watch it, you are doing something wrong. Why do you need a whole chart like this to figure out the right order to watch the Monogatari series?
Of Hellboy. I'm using the Multiversity Comics list with a...
Oh, good. You have your own list. Cool.
Interjections as to what are my favorite stories, as well as help from the Hellboy wiki as to what's in chronological order.
I love that you literally need to figure out wiki pages on how to read your story in order. Like, why?
Because while there are arcs in the same way there's Conviction or Falcon of the Millennium Empire, some of the best Hellboy stories are one-offs that are far off the beaten path.
Did this man just say, just like Berserk, this story has arcs?
The major Hellboy solo series can be read in order of the first two omnibuses, Seed of Destruction and Wake the Devil, and Strange Places.
Alright.
The first omnibus is Mike Mignola really discovering his voice and the general direction for the Hellboy character. The first story of Hellboy is actually scripted by John Byrne before Mignola felt comfortable enough to write himself, occasionally inserting his own dialogue and word balloons that complemented Byrne's. In canon, the prophecy is set up, the sidecast is fleshed out, the origin of Hellboy and the right hand of Doom is slowly but surely studied.
I call my hand the right hand of Doom after I'm finished my day on Rule 34.
Oh, Lobster Johnson.
Lobster Johnson, nani?
Lobster Johnson. It's fun. It's well drawn, but it's certainly the status quo version of Hellboy people would expect. Then, well, Strange Places. I say that this is the book where Hellboy changes from a standard, albeit novel story for the time about monster hunting, pseudo cape shit storytelling, as
I love pseudo cape shit storytelling. That's my favorite term
to coin it, into the moody and existential Hellboy I kind of adore. Hellboy in Africa is such an iconic period.
Hellboy in Africa. Oh my god, what is that title?
Hellboy story and a true turning point in terms of quality. No more BPRD, no more procedural adventures. Now every threat going forward is focused on Hellboy and his fate as the Destroyer.
Damn. Okay, alright. Getting a lot more focused on the actual plot.
From here, we need to take a detour. Although Omnibus 3 does feature the story that's most important in this particular era of Hellboy, there's another arc's worth of Hellboy wandering a foreign land with a bottle of booze by his side I want to talk about first. Hellboy in Mexico.
Bro, what are these titles? We found him. We found Hellboy in Mexico. The Hellboy is real. Oh my god, what is this?
This series of stories not only adds texture and lore to the world of Hellboy, taking place...
Oh, I'm glad. I thought he was going to say Hellboy is a lot like Berserk, because Berserk also has Mexico.
...during Hellboy's drunken journey through 1956 Mexico, but also introduces a key player or two that will be referenced much later in Hellboy's run. There's a wrestling match with a zombie luchador, a run-in with a baby Frankenstein, Hellboy even gets married! To a woman damned to hell for practicing the dark arts.
But a woman nonetheless. It's a dub. Chat, a hand for Hellboy to go where no man in this chat has gone before. Let's freaking go. It's still a woman. Honestly, nothing but respect, homie.
Still, Hellboy in Mexico is just fun. It's what I recommend to people more than Seed of Destruction to understand the vibe of Hellboy as a series. The second most important tale I want to highlight before diving into hard plot spoilers is The Corpse. Not only is The Corpse a favorite for both Mignola and his fanbase, it's essential reading for the third omnibus onward, setting up the world of Faye and Hellboy's greatest players in a seemingly normal case. The Corpse is almost a prologue to the Wild Hunt and greater prophecies told in Hellboy's story. I mean, who doesn't enjoy Gruagach's shenanigans? Love that pig boy. It's also just one of the best things Mignola's drawn. Distinct designs, fun paneling, a simple but fun quest for our dear boy from hell. It's another story I'd give to people looking to find out what Hellboy's about at its core. The many colors and shapes Mignola paints with when telling his story.
Alright.
Now, these stories are the essentials in between volumes 2 and 3, but there is one more story I'd want to mention.
Oh baby!
Hellboy, the Midnight Circus.
What the frick is this Shotokan Hellboy?
Taking place long before the events of the main book, It's a beautifully drawn work by Duncan Fegredo, which focuses on a young Hellboy exploring the world outside of the BPRD for the first time.
That's cute, I like that.
More foreshadowing for the future takes place within this book, so it is required reading, but it's not necessarily a bad thing. We very rarely get to see young Hellboy in the main book, and it helps develop his relationship with Professor Broom just enough to add weight to future moments.
Whenever I see a panel like this where like you have the professor guy, it's all right, my boy. It's all going to be all right. Won't ever do it again, I promise. Right? Like you got this panel. This man had love growing up. He understood something about love or values, stuff like that. So when this guy earlier in the video compared it to, you know, Guts' growing up because they were both trained to fight, you could not describe two more different situations.
And now, without further ado, Book 3, The Wild Hunt.
Blue Hellboy. It's when Hellboy got canceled on Twitter for blueface.
Continuity is the name of the game here, as antagonists seen long ago start slowly creeping back into Hellboy's life.
Like every single superhero comic.
The return of Hecate, the goddess of witches forever linked to Hellboy after being reincarnated during Conqueror Worm.
Holy crap, it's like some isekai shit.
The unraveling of more of Hellboy's destiny through the introduction of the Osiris Club. Gruagok's return and his murder of King Dagda. The Fae converging in their search for a new Queen of Witches. Even the young girl Hellboy saved during the corpse. Everything comes into play. Even mentions of the people.
So it's like the whole story and all his random adventures in different places is only a lead up to how absolutely insane this clusterfuck arc actually gets. I like that. I'm cool with that.
PRD's pursuits during the growing chaos in the world outside of West Europe. The world is in peril as the Queen of Blood, Nimue, hearkens the coming war that
Bro, there's a lot of queens of different things in this show. I'm not gonna lie, this is spooky.
Hellboy cannot ignore his part in, whether he wants to or not.
Oh my
This is where things not only become heavier, but the world feels older. Hellboy feels older.
I feel older.
It feels like in many ways the culmination of Hellboy's wandering, his attempts to deny what was in front of him until it screams right in his face. Hellboy's relationship with the Osiris Club and their search for—
I'm actually getting chills now, not gonna lie. This looks fire. Like, I know I make fun of stuff, but that's just what I do. This looks fire.
King is just as important as his relationship with Alice Monaghan in this arc. The very same infant Hellboy saved during the corpse, which is—
Okay, so this is like a whole grooming thing. I see. All right, cool.
Weird.
Ah! I was joking!
Wouldn't be a Berserk comparison without bringing up problematic elements.
This is everything that's wrong with the video. I'm not gonna lie, this video does a good job reviewing Hellboy, but keep Berserk's name out of your mouth right now. What are you saying? How could you compare this guy who falls in love with the girl that he saved and groomed and in that weird way with the absolute wholesomeness? Okay, wholesomeness is taking it definitely too far, but the Guts-Casca relationship. This is gut slander, bro.
I feel like this arc is comparable to that of Conviction, at least the final third.
All right, I guess he did read Berserk. I take it back.
Falcon of the Millennium Empire.
Which is the greatest arc in manga history. The Millennium Falcon arc is the best manga arc in history.
Paradigm shift of Hellboy's world hereafter is different from the one we've been in before. And where this arc inevitably leads, though, is probably some of Mignola's best work, but I may have to spoil something in particular to have the title of that arc make sense.
Go for it.
After learning he's the direct descendant of King Arthur and the rightful king who will die in combat with the Queen of Blood—
What? Oh my god, this is fate all along!
Hellboy pulls the sword from the stone and pays—
Oh man, yeah, I'm a gut simp.
He's the Baba Yaga, a long-running antagonist to which Rasputin owes his mastery of the mystic arts, to take him across the battlefield to face Nimue himself.
Sure.
After Nimue frees the primordial dragon, Ogdru Shahad, and basically causes Ragnarok to occur—
He had no reason to do that, but I appreciate it.
Hellboy defeats Ogdru Shahad and—
I like the video. I want to make it clear. I think this is a good video if it would be a review on Hellboy. I think the comparison to Berserk's bad. I think that it's not good.
one of the sickest fights in the series. As this is happening, the BPRD are dealing with their own situation, and as Superman says about issues like these that require more time than you're willing to put in, that's over there's problem, and over there has to stand for itself.
What?
Essentially, Hellboy slays, quote-unquote, the dragon, and from the dragon's chest rises a ghostly version of
a woman. Honestly, even scarier than the dragon himself.
Her actual body being dragged down to hell.
No, I like mine better, honestly.
Which results in, well...
What the fuck?
Hellboy in Hell is the culmination of
Hellboy in Hell. Bro, they called them Hellman, Hellboy in Africa, Hellboy in Mexico, Hellboy in the wild, Hellboy versus man, Hellboy versus girl, just so they could have Hellboy in Hell as the title of a freaking banging comic.
Hellboy solo series. Every drop plot point is tied up, every prophecy fulfilled, and Hellboy finally confronts the fate he sought freedom from the day he was summoned by Rasputin. It's truly fantastic work, and although the ending to this arc...
Okay, said that with a lot of enthusiasm for some reason.
...to the main solo series may be a little confusing at first, it ties into the overall message that Hellboy was all about. Hellboy, in short, is about defining who you are in a world that's labeled you otherwise.
Thank you for making that description. It's good. I'm not saying, no hate on Hellboy, but that's not Berserk.
It's about fighting back against the inevitable and embracing it in your own way when the inevitable finally comes. It's about Hellboy's self-discovery and sense of identity he's gained throughout his life, his travels, and his friends. And in what remains of hell after his rampage, Hellboy has found some kind of peace. There was solace in accepting his fate, despite how hard it was.
Sounds fire. I'm not gonna lie. I'm liking it.
And just because you followed the path set before you, doesn't mean it wasn't worth the journey. This, for many, is the end of Hellboy, and it feels like the right place to end it, at least for me. I read all this and got a pretty satisfactory package, comparable to the emotions I felt reading Berserk and one of the greater indie comic franchises I've enjoyed. The story of Hellboy doesn't end here, though. Oh no, there's a direct continuation.
What?
Something I'm making a point of to state the big difference between Berserk and Hellboy.
What?
Hellboy actually ended.
That's the difference between Berserk and Hellboy? Is this man really out here roasting Miura for dying?
Level, you know, caps off everything in the Magnolaverse in a nice little bow. Hellboy rejoins his friends for the final stand against Ogdru Jahad and the Ogdru Hem, resulting in the loss of most of Earth's life. The dragon is defeated.
That's really sad, alright? Rumbling happens.
Not by our main heroes, but by the Osiris Club's machinations off-screen.
Okay, sure.
And Hecate,
kill the dragon off screen, I like it.
who stated that it would be both her and Hellboy at the end of the world at one point, is finally proven right. Liz burns the earth.
Dude, I do like the whole fighting against destiny and prophecies being fulfilled. Hellboy looks great. Hellboy looks fantastic. I don't want this to be misrepresented as me thinking that either his review of Hellboy is bad or Hellboy is bad. Both his review and Hellboy are great. It's just these comparisons to Berserk. It's like, I'll be honest with you. If this was titled Hellboy Review or Hellboy Recap or something like that, I wouldn't have watched the video. I'm literally watching this video because it's titled America's Berserk. So from a YouTuber standpoint, I get what he's doing, but he should have just left it at, oh, they're both edgy. Oh, they're both dark. Oh, they both have badass main characters. You don't have to keep trying to compare it the whole way through.
Clean of impurity, Hellboy's blood becomes the water that fills the earth, and frogs rise as a dominant species on New Earth. Hey, remember frogs from the beginning? Yeah, it all comes full circle.
Yeah, because he dies. Cool.
Basically, the most simplified versions of events I can give you, because other than being a fitting end to Hellboy's story and complementing his self-actualization in his solo series, the rest of the required reading is yours to choose. I think the ending in the solo Hellboy series is truly all you need, but a lot of people who want the complete package deserve the devil you know in their lives. It's the only point of differentiation I can harp on with Hellboy compared to its contemporaries.
How are you harping on Hellboy versus his contemporary? Because of what? Because there's only some required reading?
A complete package you can rip into as you see.
Bro, stop talking about Hellboy's package. I know, I'm gonna look him up on Rule 34 right after this for the thumbnail. Like, god damn it.
Fit. So, if you're looking for something to fill that void Berserk left you...
I feel like Hellboy will not give it to you.
That lasted just as long and has a strong emotional core behind its mood lighting or square heads, Hellboy is your solution. It's an epic that traces an entire world's complex lore into the journey of a man's self-discovery through consistent trials and tribulations that would break most other people.
See, if you would have made this video as like a recommendation, it's like, Hellboy, America's Berserk, keep the same title and say like, recommending something that I think you'll like if you like Berserk. And then you discuss Hellboy, that's cool. But like the constant comparisons that are a little janky, the comparisons that don't really fit, I feel like waters it down. This is just constructive criticism, Mr. Manga Log. I think your presentation was good. I think your stuff was great, but don't think that your audience is stupid.
And he does it with such gusto and nonchalance, I
can't
help but love the guy. Hellboy is a lot of things. A touching indie darling, a series disgraced by a harmful editor, a fun way to explore the monster of the week formula, And in a small way, something to remind yourself, maybe you should move past your self-loathing and acknowledge both what you can't change and what you most certainly can.
Is that really the message in Berserk, though?
I find Hellboy to be an inspirational piece for all it's worth.
Oh my god, he opens a little bag and he finds a woman. That is inspirational. God damn, if only it was that easy.
Something worthy of praise I don't see it receiving nearly enough of anymore. So go forth, explore, understand that even though Miura is gone, and his story may never be finished, at least by his hand, doesn't mean good stories don't receive good endings.
What kind of a moral of the story is that? Huh? Wait, what does that even mean? This was a good video. I just feel like there were a couple of really random, like, WTF moments that showed up here and there. Like, I don't want to roast the guy because I do feel like, you know, he has 10,000 subs and he's a new YouTuber, I guess. But he did a really good job with this video in general. And I know people in my chat are like even angrier than I am, but I don't get the vibe. He's not being toxic or shitting on Berserk per se. Like, I feel like he's trying to incorporate these comparisons in his video for a slightly flawed thesis. I call Hellboy America's Berserk, but there is a difference. Hellboy ended, and in Berserk, the writer died, bro. Which sucks. L plus ratio plus you're dead. I don't know, man. That's a wild one. That's a wild one. All in all, Hellboy does look fire. I might actually read it. It looks really, really good.
Like, subscribe, and follow me on Twitch. Stay weird, fam.